Supriya Shrinate, to you first. Is the Congress crying foul too soon? Is the question being asked. The government says that India is yet to finalize the cost and specific terms of purchase of these drones. Already, though, the Congress is alleging that India will pay nearly 4 times what other countries are paying. According to the government, we've made no price negotiations. So where is the question of paying 4 times extra?
So just before Mr. Modi left for the United States, various news organizations, including the one where we are chatting this debate on, the India Today group, put out stories that Mr. Modi is close to inking and in fact has approved the buying of 31 MQNBs at the cost of nearly $3 billion, which roughly translates to about 25,200 crore rupees. It was in print media, it was in electronic media, it was online, it was everywhere. Not a single denial came from the government. In fact, the government was basking in the laundry list that Mr. Modi was going to achieve. It's another story altogether. He practically achieved not much in the United States. But after Mr. Modi was about to come back and details started emerging of how expensive the proposition was, $110 million for each drone, whereas US itself was buying it at roughly half the cost, $56.5 million, Germany buying it for far less, UK that had bought it 7 years back at only $12.5 million, Australia found it expensive and actually scrapped the deal. Did the PIB clarification and the defense minister's clarification come? Is this how deals in the country are going to be done? I think that's point number one.
No, are you saying you went by a newspaper report? Supriya Shrinate, are you saying that the Congress party is going by a newspaper report, not by any official document?
No, no.
Where is the official document?
No, I'm not. And which is exactly the point I'm coming to. So please listen to me. I understand your angst. Let me speak. So my point is that the government can't plant misleading information and then backtrack when they are caught. Because debate started on pricing of these drones, they were caught. But there are some relevant questions. The questions are, why are we not talking about co-developing? This is again assembly. What kind of technology transfer are we talking about? Only 8 to 9%. What about the DRDO's own plan? I mean, the DRDO has spent roughly 1,768 crore rupees. What about its own plan? Has that been shelved? What about the CCS? Go ahead. Did that not come about just like in the case of Rafale? I think some very relevant questions continue to be asked, and I think questions will be raised on how this government functions. You cannot plant information because the Prime Minister is going to make him look good and then be caught red-handed and then backtrack. This is not how governments can function, but I have raised some very valid questions, and I think those questions deserve to be answered because there seems to also be some concerns from the Indian Air Force, who till April 2023 have written we need only 18, not 31, who have raised concerns on the cost of these, who have raised concerns on the utility of these, especially in the areas where we need them. So I think these questions need to be debated because the government was all out to say they are buying $3 billion. Why are they backtracking now?
Okay.
Why are they doing a U-turn? And it's not just with this. Even with the Micron plant, there's a U-turn.
Let me, 1 minute. Let's go step by step. Shiv Arun, there were reports, PTI among them, putting out that the Prime Minister is likely to ink a drone deal in the United States. And a number was thrown up. A number which now, according to the Government of India, there has been no price negotiations, only an in-principle agreement was made that we would go ahead with the drone deal. Where did these numbers come from? Is it, as is being suggested by the Congress spokesperson, something that was planted possibly on the media ahead of the visit by top government sources to give the impression that India was about to sign a mega deal? Is there any official document of any kind on price negotiations?
Actually, there's actually nothing suspicious at all about this 3 billion figure because, defense reporters have been reporting on this proposed deal and acquisition since at least 2016, 2017, and figures going up to as high as $4.5 billion have also been reported. I don't know why we're talking about PTI and press copies because the acceptance of necessity MOD document itself reflects the $3,072 million, which was a figure that was provided by the US government and which is what the MOD has also said in its statement. I want to add another point here. This $3 billion which is a figure that everyone is balking over, is actually not surprising at all. And if this deal finally does go through, it may very well actually cost this, because these are extremely expensive drones. Now we can get
Is it
into
more
a debate.
expensive than other countries?
You know, the point is, nothing has been, 2 points, Rajdeep. One, since 2016, Manohar Parrikar was the defense minister when he went to the United States, when the initial talks began on the requirement. The numbers have changed, but let me tell you that over 7 years, the single reason why a deal has not been signed is on the issue of price, Rajdeep. It is because these drones are so, you know, eye-wateringly expensive that no deal has actually been arrived at. The numbers have changed. It went from 22 to 40, back down to 18, then it went to 30, now it's come down to 31. These are extremely expensive drones. Another point that Supriya makes, and let me clarify that I think questions being raised are very good, but the issue of technology transfer. Drones, of the Predator variety are not. The technology of these drones is not provided to anyone, not even to NATO allies. These drones are only manufactured in the United States. Now, whether there is any benefit to Indian industry in terms of localization, that again will be part of negotiations. We understand that the US has proposed that 9% of the drones in terms of value will be sourced from India. India wants that value to go up to about 20%. But in terms of both the price, this $3 billion, which can be seen as a kind of MRP, Rajdeep, in terms of what technology is made here, all of that will have to be part of negotiation. But let me just say that it is because of price, the issue that the Congress is raising, it is because of that no deal has been signed so far.
You know, we've got UK 2021, $246 million for 13 drones. So obviously there is a price point that has been achieved with other countries. Will India pay excessively is a question once the price negotiations are complete. You're saying at this stage to talk about price would be premature. Am I correct?
Also comparing drone sales between the US and India, a certain number, we don't know what that number is going to be. The US and NATO allies, what kind of package they're providing to them, are vastly different. Trying to compare deals simply in terms of a bean count is always going to be a pretty, ill-advised affair, because we don't know what those deals contain, Rajdeep. Do they contain weapons? Do they contain lifetime support? Do they contain maintenance? Are there other, other attendant issues? Also remember that as far as India is concerned, it'll have to be from scratch. These aren't just remote controlled aircraft that we're buying. There has to be a huge amount of support infrastructure. I think questions about price definitely need to be asked. Pressure needs to be applied on the government in terms of getting the best possible price. But comparing it with what the UK has, or Belgium has, or Netherlands has, or NATO countries have, I think it's difficult to do that unless we have the details of what those deals contain.
Okay.